Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Time has always been like a river in our minds. It flows, it carries us, it whispers of what has been and what will be. We wake each day with the quiet sense that the present moment is real, as if now we're a small island floating on an endless stream. Yet when we look closer, when we let our thoughts drift with the deeper currents of physics, we find that this island begins to blur, and the river bends in ways we never expected. Relativity tells us that now may not be one single thing for everyone. It may be something softer, more uncertain, like the shadow of a cloud on moving water. Imagine lying on your back in a meadow watching the slow drift of the sky. To you, a bird flying overhead exists in this same instant. The sound of the wind brushing across the grass is part of your now. But what if someone far away, moving at a great speed, were to look at the same bird, the same sky? Their now might not include the same moment you see. For them, the bird's wings may have already beat once more, or perhaps not yet at all. Einstein's strange gift to us was the idea that time is not a single thread woven through the universe, but a fabric that can stretch and ripple depending on how you move through it. We often think of clocks as rulers of time. We hang them on walls, wear them on wrists, build them into our machines. Each tick seems absolute, as if the universe agreed to beat to that rhythm. But relativity teaches us that clocks are not neutral witnesses. A clock moving fast will tick more slowly compared to one at rest. A clock closer to the gravity of Earth, deep in its invisible pull, will run more slowly than one higher up, where gravity's grip is lighter. This means that time is not one straight river for all, but many streams winding at different speeds, depending on how you wander through space. Now imagine yourself floating in a spaceship near the speed of light. The stars streak faintly by, their light bending and trembling in your vision. Your heart still beats at its familiar pace. Your thoughts flow as always. But to someone back on Earth, watching you from afar, your heartbeat seems slowed. Your gestures stretched thin across the minutes. You are living your own now, as vivid and normal as ever, yet their picture of your now does not match yours. Each observer carries their own present, like lanterns glowing softly in different parts of the dark. This idea that now may not be the same for everyone is called relativity of simultaneity. It means that two events that seem to happen at the same time for you may not be simultaneous for someone else who is moving differently. The universe does not grant us one universal present. Instead, it offers a web of perspectives, each connected but never identical. It is like standing in a forest, listening to the echo of a song. From one tree you hear it as one note, from another you hear it as two. Both are true, both are real, and the forest holds them all. At first, this may feel unsettling, as if the ground of reality is slipping beneath our feet, but it can also feel freeing, like discovering that the world is larger and more mysterious than we thought. If now is not a single slice, then the past and the future may not be as separate as we imagine. In Relativity, the universe is often pictured as a four-dimensional fabric called space-time. Within it, every event, every birth, every falling leaf, every whispered word exists as part of this great woven structure. To us, moving slowly through it, the fabric feels like a flowing story. But from another view, it may be all at once, stretched across the loom of existence. Think of a photograph of a mountain valley. To the eye, the picture is whole, still complete. But when you walk through the real valley, you experience it piece by piece. The bend of a path, the sparkle of a stream, the cry of a hawk. Our lives are like that. We walk through space-time as if it were unfolding, though in some sense it already lies before us, like a picture we cannot yet see in its entirety. Relativity hints that now is not the page being written, but the place on the page where our eyes currently rest. In your daily life, time feels steady. You wake, you eat, you work, you rest. The minutes seem to march forward like gentle steps on a path. Yet even here, relativity is quietly at work. Satellites circling above Earth, carrying the signals that guide your phone or your navigation, must adjust for the bending of time. Without those adjustments, your map would drift and fail, your direction slipping by miles each day. This small detail reminds us, even in ordinary life, the river of time does not flow the same for all. We've learned to live with this bending, to weave it into our tools, to let it serve us quietly. You can almost feel the poetry of it, that our now is not fixed but fragile, bending with speed and with gravity. The stars hold their own rhythm, the planets turn with clocks of their own. Each of us, by living, by moving, carries a small piece of time that does not quite match another's. It is as if the universe were a vast orchestra, and while we all play together, each instrument strikes its notes with a slightly different pulse. The music still feels whole, but its beauty lies in the subtle differences. Some philosophers wonder if this means the present is an illusion. If all of space-time already exists, then perhaps the feeling of now is only the way our minds walk through it, one step at a time. Like a reader turning the pages of a book, we move through the story, yet the entire tale already lies bound between the covers. Others suggest that the present has a specialness, even if physics does not grant it priority. Our hearts, after all, live in this moment. Our senses taste it. Our voices speak it. Illusion or not, now feels more real than anything else. As you listen, you may notice how your own body holds time. Your breath rises and falls in waves. Your heart sends pulses through your chest. Even the smallest cells inside you keep clocks, rhythms tuned to light and darkness. This is your own river of now, carried within. Yet just outside, another world ticks differently. The orbit of the moon, the spin of Earth, the slow drift of galaxies. Each part of nature carries its own tempo. And relativity says that none of these tempos is absolute. They are all bound to the curves of space-time, bending gently in the presence of mass, swaying softly with motion. Let us drift deeper into the metaphor. Picture a great river delta where countless streams spread into the sea. Each stream runs at its own pace, yet they all belong to the same water. Time is like this delta. Every person, every planet, every star carries its own current of now. Some streams move faster, some slower, but all are part of the same ocean of space-time. There is no single channel that is the one true river. Instead, there is only the quiet harmony of many flows, all reaching the sea together in their own way. This understanding reshapes the way we think about existence. If your now is not my now, then what does it mean to share a moment? Perhaps it means that sharing is not about absolute simultaneity. but about weaving connections across different streams. When we speak, when we touch, when we look into another's eyes, we create bridges between our flowing times. These bridges let us feel togetherness, even though physics says our news are never exactly aligned. In this way, human closeness is its own gentle defiance of relativity, a choice to call two lanterns shining apart by the same word, present. And so, as we return to the thought of the river, bending and curving through the cosmos, we can see why Einstein's insight was so radical. He showed that the flow of time was not commanded by some universal drumbeat. It is shaped by motion, by mass, by the very structure of the universe itself. Each of us drifts along a personal current, and though our rivers mingle, they never fully merge. The wonder is not in the loss of a universal now, but in the discovery that reality is more spacious, more mysterious, more vast than we thought. Close your eyes and let yourself imagine drifting down such a river. You are carried gently, without rush, without fear. The banks shift slowly, the stars above tilt in their endless patterns. Somewhere another traveller drifts too, but their river is not quite the same as yours. They may pass through bends you cannot see or linger in eddies you never touch. Yet both of you belong to the same great water. You're not lost. You are part of the wide, bending flow of space-time, a flow that holds all pasts, all futures, and all possible nows. And here, at the end of this section, we pause with a simple thought, that time is both personal and shared, steady and shifting, intimate and cosmic. Now may not be the single island we once imagined. It may be many islands, many lanterns glowing softly across the waters. But even if it is an illusion, it is a gentle one, carrying us onward, letting us breathe, letting us dream in the soft current of existence. When we lean closer into the mystery of time, it begins to shimmer with even more subtle colours. Relativity does not only tell us that clocks can disagree, it tells us that the very weave of existence is shaped by matter and motion. The presence of something heavy, like a planet or a star, pulls not only at space but at time itself. It is as if the river we imagined before must bend around stones, forming pools and eddies that change how the water flows. This bending is not just a picture, it is a real effect that shapes the way we live, breathe, and move through the universe. Think of the Earth, turning gently in the vast quiet of space. Around it, satellites drift in careful paths, each one carrying a clock more precise than any on the ground. These clocks help guide us when we travel, telling us where we are with signals that bounce invisibly across the sky. But without corrections, those signals would quickly become useless. Gravity pulls on the time of clocks near the Earth, slowing them compared to those farther away. The satellites must account for this difference, or else their maps would wander and their guidance would falter. Even in the simple act of finding our way on a road, we are depending on Einstein's insight that time itself bends. You might imagine then how different time must be near the most massive objects in the cosmos. Black holes, with their infinite gravity, stretch the river of time until it becomes almost still at their edges. To an outside observer, anything falling toward a black hole seems to slow, to fade, to freeze at the brink. But to the falling traveller, time continues normally, heartbeat steady, thoughts unbroken, breaths flowing one after another. The two perspectives never match. One sees the end suspended forever, the other passes through into the unknown. This rift in the fabric of now shows us how fragile our idea of simultaneity truly is. Yet this bending of time is not confined to distant stars, it is present in our everyday lives. When you climb a mountain standing higher above the earth, you age a tiny bit faster than someone at sea level. The difference is so small you could never feel it, but it is there, written into the equations of relativity. Time runs a little faster when gravity's hand is lighter. Even the most ordinary walk up a hill is a journey through subtly different currents of the river of time. As we drift further, let us think of how time connects to light. Light is the messenger of the cosmos, the traveller that always moves at the same speed, no matter how quickly you chase it or how far you run. This constancy is what forces the bending of time. Because light refuses to yield, space and time must shift instead, ensuring that its speed remains untouched. It is like a dancer who never changes her pace. The floor and the music must bend to keep the rhythm true. Every moment you look at the stars, every reflection in the water, every glow of a lamp is part of this grand harmony where light and time are bound together. Now imagine two twins. One remains on Earth, the other flies on a spacecraft near the speed of light. The one on the spacecraft returns after a long journey, but something strange has happened. Their clock, their body, their age, all show less time has passed for them than for the twin who stayed home. This is the twin paradox, a gentle yet startling reminder that time is not absolute. It stretches and folds depending on the path you take through space-time. The twins still share a bond, still call each other by the same names, but their rivers have not flowed at the same pace. Their nows have drifted apart. This idea stretches into something almost spiritual when we consider the whole universe. If the past, present, and future all exist together in space-time, then perhaps nothing is ever truly lost. The laughter of a child, the falling of autumn leaves, the moment of a first breath. All of these events still lie somewhere in the fabric, waiting, permanent, part of the whole. We cannot return to them because our own river moves forward, but their presence is not erased. It is like a library of all moments, each one a page that still belongs to the book of existence. We are only reading line by line, yet the chapters remain. And what then of the future? Relativity does not forbid from existing alongside the past. It suggests that those moments too are already inscribed in the fabric, though hidden from our eyes. This does not take away our freedom, but it invites us to think differently about it. Perhaps choice is the way our consciousness walks through space-time, turning possibilities into memories. Perhaps we are lanterns illuminating one path through the forest of all that could be, even if the forest itself is already complete. The mystery of now becomes the mystery of being, how it feels to live inside a universe where everything exists, yet we experience it one breath at a time. Let us pause here and look at the stars again. They are so far away that the light reaching your eyes left them long ago. When you gaze upward, you are not seeing them as they are now, but as they once were. For some, the light began its journey before humans walked the earth. For others, it began even before Earth itself was formed. You're seeing their past, yet to you, in this moment, it is now. This quiet paradox is the poetry of relativity, that the present always carries the weight of the past, and the distance between them is not as simple as it seems. The more we learn, the more we see that time is not just a measure but a landscape. It is something we inhabit, like valleys and hills, streams and skies. Relativity invites us to walk more gently through this landscape, knowing that our steps do not define it alone. Others walk beside us, above us, behind us, each along their own winding paths. Together we form a chorus of different nows, yet still connected, still resonant, like many waves meeting on the surface of one sea. When scientists build their equations, when astronomers measure their stars, when philosophers ponder the shape of existence, they are all leaning into the same mystery. That time is both real and elusive, both tangible and ghostly. It is the breath we feel and the silence we cannot touch. And relativity softly, patiently tells us that our sense of now is not the whole truth. It is a window, one of many, opening onto the endless sky of space-time. And so, in this second movement of our story, we begin to see the depth of relativity's gift. It does not steal the present from us, it expands it. It shows us that reality is larger than our narrow sense of simultaneity. It reminds us that our moments, precious and fleeting though they feel, are part of something vast and eternal. When you close your eyes tonight, letting sleep carry you gently, remember that your dreams and your waking both flow within this bending river. You are not lost in the illusion of now, you are carried in the great quiet sea of time itself. As we drift into the final part of this story, the river of time feels wider, gentler, more mysterious than before. We have seen how relativity bends it, how gravity pulls it, how speed stretches it. But now we begin to wonder what it means for us, as human beings, to live in a universe where now is not fixed. If our present moment is not universal, then perhaps our connection to others, our sense of memory, our hopes for the future all take on a new kind of beauty. They are not about holding one absolute instant. They are about weaving meaning into the flowing fabric. Consider again the idea of space-time as a great tapestry. Every thread is an event, a star flaring, a raindrop falling, a word whispered in the dark. From above, the whole tapestry is already woven, with no beginning and no end, only the endless pattern of existence. Yet for us, within it, the threads appear one by one, revealed as if by candlelight. We call that candlelight the present, but relativity tells us the tapestry does not need our candle to exist. It's already there, silent, whole, and timeless. Our perception of now is the flame that lets us see just enough to keep moving forward. There is something humbling in this. It means that our memories are not simply shadows that vanish when the present moves on. They are places in space-time still there, still real, even if we cannot walk back to them. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of a summer afternoon, the first breath of a newborn, all remain etched in the fabric. And so too with the future. The paths we will walk, the choices we will make, the songs we will hear are also woven in. We are travellers, not makers of time, and our gift is the experience of moving through it. This view changes how we think of distance as well, for relativity shows that time and space are not separate. They are fused into one fabric, bending together. To move across distance is also to move across time. When you look at a star in the night sky, you're reaching through both. Its light touches you across centuries. That touch is not just a glimpse of far space, but of far time as well. In this sense, every starlit sky is a bridge, allowing us to share moments that no longer exist in our own world. The stars remind us that now is not a boundary, but a connection. We can bring this closer to the heart. Think of someone you love. To share a moment with them is to stand at a crossing of two rivers of time. Your currents are not the same. They flow at different speeds, bend around different stones. Yet for a while you move together. That togetherness is what we call presence, not because physics demands it, but because hearts choose it. Relativity may say that now is relative, but human closeness makes it feel whole. We build bridges not with equations, but with tenderness, and in doing so we make our own meaning of now. Let's not forget the cosmos, though, for the universe holds stories stranger than our dreams. Imagine the first seconds after the Big Bang, when space-time itself was being born. In that moment, if we can call it a moment, the entire river began to flow, branching into countless streams, each carrying galaxies, stars, planets, and lives. What was now then? It's not a single instant, but the whole unfolding of creation, a great bloom of energy and matter that would one day allow us to sit here, breathing, wondering, dreaming about time. Relativity allows us to see that even in its earliest moments, the universe did not march to a single beat, but flowed in many tempos at once. And what about the far future? If we imagine billions of years ahead, when stars burn out and galaxies drift apart, the rivers of now will still exist, though they may carry different travellers. Perhaps other beings under other suns will also wonder if their present is an illusion. Perhaps they too will look to the stars and feel the strange blend of intimacy and vastness that relativity gives. In this way, our questions today echo forward, part of the same cosmic fabric that ties together all who will ever live. There is a quiet comfort in knowing that the present is not absolute. It frees us from the idea that we must cling tightly to each instant, fearing its loss. Instead, we can trust that every moment is safe, written into space-time, unerasable. The song of a bird at dawn, the glow of a candle, the touch of a hand, all of them endure, even as we drift onward. They may not remain as we experience them, but they are not gone. They are folded gently into the universe where nothing truly slips away. As you breathe, let yourself feel this. Each inhalation is a point in space-time. Each exhalation is another. They join with all the breaths you have ever taken, forming a line of rhythm through the fabric of existence. That line is your life, your journey through the river. To you it feels like a flowing present, but from another view, it is a whole curve already drawn, as elegant as the arc of a comet across the night sky. You're both inside the flow and part of the larger picture. You're both the traveller and the path. And so, when we ask if now is an illusion, we must answer softly. In one sense, yes, it is not the single universal truth we once thought it was, but in another sense, no, it is real to us, as real as the touch of sunlight, as real as love, as real as thought. Physics may say that all moments are equally real, but life gives us the gift of experiencing one at a time. Illusion or not, now is where meaning blooms. It is the meeting point between the vastness of the cosmos and the intimacy of a heartbeat. Perhaps the best way to hold this paradox is with poetry. Now is like a ripple on the sea of space-time. To the sea, the ripple is small, one of many, not special in itself, but to us, riding upon it, the ripple is everything. It is the world, the feeling, the moment of being alive. Relativity reminds us that the sea is endless, that ripples come and go, but our hearts remind us that each ripple is precious, that without them we would not know what it means to exist. As this story comes to rest, let us leave the river gently. Imagine again lying in that meadow, the stars above you, the wind around you. Time flows, but you do not need to hold it. You are part of it. You are its song, its klangos, its mystery. Whether now is illusion or truth, it is enough to breathe, to dream, to wonder, carried softly in the current of the universe. And somewhere in this vast and bending fabric, stars glow together, like lanterns on a dark river, floating endlessly into the sea. Stars are often called the clocks of the universe. They burn with steady rhythms, pulsing, spinning, and fading in patterns that unfold across millions and even billions of years. To us, gazing upward on a still night, they seem timeless, their light fixed in place as if painted on velvet. Yet each star is a keeper of time, holding within its glowing heart the secrets of motion, rhythm, and change. To study the stars is to read the king of cosmic clocks, a reminder that the universe carries its own measure of now, far beyond the hours that we count on Earth. Imagine the sun, our closest star. To our eyes, it rises and sets with faithful regularity, painting the sky with colours of dawn and dusk. For ancient people, the sun was the ultimate clock, its path dividing day from night, its return guiding the seasons. Crops were planted, rituals were timed, and lives were shaped by its steady rhythm. Yet when scientists look deeper, they see that the sun's light carries more than warmth. It carries the heartbeat of a star, vibrations echoing through its core, waves of energy rippling outward, like the breathing of a great, luminous being. These pulses form a kind of stellar music, a rhythm that tells us how old the sun is, how much fuel it has left, and how it will one day fade. Other stars too have their own beats. Some expand and contract like lungs, glowing brighter and dimmer in a regular cycle. These stars, called variable stars, are like natural metronomes written into the sky. Their steady pulsations allow astronomers to measure distances across space. By knowing how fast they pulse, we can tell how far away they are, as their brightness fades with distance. In this way, the stars give us a clock not only of time but of space, helping us map the vast stretches of the universe. Each flicker, each rhythm is a tick of a cosmic watch, guiding us through the darkness. If you look beyond our sun to the great galaxies, you find even larger clocks. Galaxies spin like slow whirlpools, their arms sweeping around their centres in majestic spirals. It can take hundreds of millions of years for a galaxy to complete a single turn, but still, the motion is steady, the rhythm sure. Our own Milky Way is turning even now, carrying the sun and all its planets with it, like passengers on a grand celestial wheel. This galactic rotation is another measure of time, written on scales so vast that our entire human history is only the faintest whisper within a single turn. And then there are the pulsars, neutron stars that spin with astonishing precision. Born from the collapse of massive stars, these remnants are only a few miles wide, yet they spin hundreds of times per second, sending beams of light sweeping through the sky like lighthouse signals. Their pulses are so steady that they rival our most precise atomic clocks. Astronomers use them to navigate the cosmos, to test theories of relativity, even to imagine building a galactic system of timekeeping. In the darkness of space, a pulsar is like a beacon that never falters, a clock that ticks with unfailing rhythm long after the star that birthed it has died. To think of stars as clocks is to see time stretched far beyond human scales. On Earth, we measure hours and days. We feel the passage of weeks and years, but stars remind us that there are deeper tempos, slower beats, more patient rhythms. A star can live for billions of years, burning slowly, changing only with ages we can hardly imagine. For us, a century feels long, but for a star it is barely a breath. When we watch the stars, we are glimpsing time on scales that dwarf our lives. And yet in their constancy we also find comfort. Their light reassures us that we belong to something enduring. The light of a star is itself a message from the past. When you look at a star 100 light years away, you are seeing it as it was 100 years ago. Its now has already become your past. If the star has changed, if it has even died, you would not know yet. The starlight you see tonight is a relic of another time, travelling across space to reach your eyes. In this way, the stars let us touch many nows at once, our present here on Earth, and their pasts across the galaxy. Each spark in the sky is both now and then, a reminder that time is woven with distance. This makes the sky a kind of memory. It holds the record of ancient flames, some still burning, some already gone. To lie beneath the stars is to lie beneath a great archive of light, each point a clock running at its own pace. You can almost hear them if you let your mind drift, the steady hum of the sun, the slow whirl of galaxies, the rapid pulses of neutron stars. Together they form a symphony of time, a cosmic orchestra that plays not for our ears but for our imagination. And yet, for all their grandeur, the stars are also personal. Their light falls softly on your face at night, touching you with photons that have crossed the void for unimaginable spans. In that touch is both intimacy and vastness. You are held by the same light that has seen empires rise and fall, that has outlasted generations, that will shine long after you are gone. The stars do not keep time for us alone, but in their glow we can measure our lives. A childhood memory of stargazing, an evening shared with a friend, a quiet moment of wonder, these are woven into the same light that has travelled across the ages. It is easy to think of time as something that slips away, something that leaves us behind. But the stars suggest another view. They remind us that time is also something that carries us, something that holds us within rhythms larger than ourselves. We are not outside the cosmic clock. We are part of it, as much as the stars themselves. The iron in our blood was forged in stellar cores. The calcium in our bones was born in their fiery deaths. To live is to be a spark of starlight, a flicker of the same energy that ticks in the heavens. So let yourself rest in this thought, that every night sky is a reminder of time's gentle scales, of rhythms slower and steadier than our own. The stars do not rush, they do not fret, they do not vanish from the flow. They shine, they pulse, they turn, each according to its own rhythm, and in their constancy they offer us peace. For even if our now feels fragile, even if the present seems to slip like sand through our fingers, the stars remind us that time is not only fleeting, it is also vast, patient, enduring, and filled with light. When we look more deeply into the stars, we find that their ticking is not just a poetic image, but a true science. Every rhythm, every pulse, every flicker of light is telling a story about matter and energy, about the way the universe keeps its quiet time. The stars are more than ornaments in the sky. They are laboratories, teaching us about the past, about the present, and even about futures that have not yet come to pass. Their clocks are not measured in hours but in ages, in lifetimes that stretch across the history of creation. At the core of a star, nuclear fusion burns steadily, turning hydrogen into helium and later into heavier elements. This process is the star's heartbeat, and like the beat of a heart, it can be measured. The pressure of heat and gravity pushes outward and inward, balancing the star so it neither collapses nor explodes, at least not yet. But as the fuel is consumed, the rhythm changes. Some stars swell into giants, their light growing redder, their pulse slower and more fragile. Others burn hotter, brighter, faster, shortening their lives into brief and fiery bursts. By studying the light of a star, astronomers can read these stages like the chapters of a book. The star's glow is a clock face, its spectrum of colours the hands that mark the time. These stellar clocks also help us look back into the deep past. Certain stars, known as Cepheid variables, brighten and dim with such reliable patterns that they serve as rulers of distance. By measuring their souls, we learned how far away other galaxies are. In the early 20th century, astronomer Henrietta Leavitt discovered that brighter Cepheids have longer periods of pulsation. Her insight was like finding a cosmic yardstick. With it, Edwin Hubble later showed that the universe is expanding, that galaxies are rushing apart like leaves on a rising tide. Without these star clocks, we might never have discovered the story of cosmic growth, the slow unfolding of space itself. Other stars tell us about cycles even more ancient. White dwarfs, the dim remnants of stars like our Sun, cool slowly over billions of years. Their fading glow is like sand slipping through an hourglass. By measuring their faint heat, scientists can estimate the ages of star clusters, even of our galaxy itself. These remnants are clocks ticking so slowly that their hands move across eons. In their dimness, we see not just endings, but the persistence of time on a scale far beyond our own lives. And then there are the pulsars again, those spinning remnants that act like the most precise clocks in the cosmos. Some pulsars spin hundreds of times each second, and they do so with such steadiness that their timing can rival even our most advanced atomic clocks on Earth. Astronomers have used pulsars to test Einstein's theories, to measure the slow dance of massive objects in space, even to imagine creating a kind of galactic GPS. Each pulse that reaches us has crossed light years of distance, yet it arrives on time, a beat in the dark that tells us the universe is faithful to its own rhythms. But stars are not only clocks in isolation, they are also part of greater cycles. Consider the life and death of stars themselves. Massive stars explode as supernovae, scattering elements into space. Those elements later form new stars, new planets, new lives. The carbon in your breath, the oxygen in your blood, the iron in your heart, all were once carried inside stars. This cycle of birth and rebirth is a cosmic clock too, one that measures not hours or days but generations of stars. We live in the middle of its ticking, beneficiaries of countless past cycles, participants in a rhythm that will continue long after we are gone. In this way, the stars give us more than time, they give us perspective. When we see their light, we are not just measuring how far or how long. We are reminded that our moments, fleeting though they are, belong to a larger harmony. The stars are patient. They keep rhythms we cannot rush. They invite us to rest in the knowledge that time is bigger than our worries, that it stretches calmly across gulfs we can barely comprehend. To watch a star is to see steadiness, endurance, the quiet persistence of being. And yet this cosmic patience is not cold, it is intimate. Think of the starlight entering your eyes tonight. Those photons may have travelled for centuries, even millennia before reaching you. They may have crossed empty voids, passing near dust clouds, curving around invisible gravities, all to arrive here, now. In that instant, you are joined to the star's clock. Its ancient pulse becomes your present. The intimacy of that touch is as real as a hand placed gently in yours. Across space and time, the stars reach us with a kind of tender persistence. The stars also invite us to think of our own lives in rhythm with theirs. If we are made of stardust, then our bodies, our thoughts, our very breath are part of the stellar cycle. We too are clocks, keeping time in smaller, swifter beats. Our hearts tick in seconds, our lives in decades. Compared to stars, we are brief, but we are also reflections of their endurance. Every cell in us carries a memory of stellar fire. Every dream we hold is another note in the music that began in stars long ago. To live is to echo their rhythm, to carry their clocks within us. And when we think of this, the question of now becomes softer. The stars do not know our minutes or our hours. They do not measure time in the way we do, but they remind us that there is no single way to keep it. Now is a rhythm, and rhythms can be slow or fast, brief or endless. To us, the present feels small. To a star, the present stretches across millions of years. Both are real, both are true, both are part of the same great orchestra. The stars do not diminish our now. They expand it, showing us that every moment is larger than we believe. So as you lie beneath the sky, remember that you are listening to clocks beyond clocks, to rhythms beyond rhythms. The stars are ticking, pulsing, spinning, fading, all in their own time, and you are part of that time. Your life is one note in the song, one flicker in the glow, one ripple in the river of light. You need not fear that your now is too brief, for in the great clocks of the stars, even the briefest spark belongs to the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. As we come to the gentle close of this story, let us drift once more into the quiet truth of the stars as keepers of time. Their clocks are not like the ones we build, small devices of gears or crystals ticking out seconds in neat succession. Instead, their clocks are vast, patient, and woven into the fabric of existence itself. To listen to them is to listen to the universe breathing, to hear the slow music of matter and energy unfolding across ages. And though their rhythms may seem far beyond us, we too are part of their song, tied to their ticking in ways both physical and poetic. Consider how starlight itself is a record of time. Every photon of light born in a star's core takes thousands, even but millions of years to work its way outward through dense layers of plasma. By the time it finally escapes into space, it already carries a memory of deep ages past. When it reaches Earth, perhaps hundreds of years later, it carries still more memory, stretching back into the life of the star itself. To see a star is to look into its history, to receive a message written in ancient fire. And yet, in the moment you see it, the light becomes your present. In this merging of past and present, we glimpse the strange fluidity of now. There is something soothing in this merging. It tells us that time is not divided into sharp boundaries, that past and present are not absolute opposites. Instead, they flow together, like colours blending at the edge of a horizon. When you look at a star, its ancient light mingles with your living moment. You and the star are joined, not by simultaneity, but by continuity. Not by sharing the same now, but by being part of the same long story. In this way, the stars remind us that presence is not about holding a single instant, but about belonging to a thread that stretches endlessly. Stars also teach us about endings and how even endings are part of time's rhythm. When a star dies, it does not simply vanish. A small star may collapse into a white dwarf, glowing faintly as it cools over billions of years. A massive star may explode in a supernova, scattering its elements into the cosmos. In either case, the clock does not stop. It changes form, moving into a new rhythm. The matter released in death becomes the seed of future stars, future planets, future life. The clock of the universe ticks on, not by erasing what was, but by transforming it. Endings become beginnings, and the rhythm continues. Think of this as a comfort for our own lives. We too are part of cycles. We too have beginnings and endings, rhythms of growth and fading. But just as with the stars, nothing is truly lost. The elements of our bodies will return to the earth, to the air, to the sea. The warmth of our breath will join the atmosphere. The particles of our bones will someday become part of something new. In this sense, we are like stars, our clocks continuing not only in ourselves, but in what we leave behind. To live is to contribute to a rhythm larger than any single lifetime. The stars also show us the beauty of slowness. In a world where minutes feel precious and days can feel rushed, stars remind us that time can unfold with immense patience. A star does not hurry through its burning. A galaxy does not rush through its turning. The cosmos keeps rhythms that are unhurried, steady, and enduring. To sit beneath the night sky is to be invited into that patience, to feel for a moment that there is no need to race. Your now, fragile though it seems, is already part of something vast and calm. You need only breathe and let the rhythm hold you. Let us also remember the way stars guide us. For centuries, travellers navigated by their positions, trusting them as faithful markers of direction and time. Even today, their cycles help us orient ourselves, not only on Earth, but in the cosmos. Pulsars, quasars, galaxies, all of them can serve as beacons, telling us where and when we are. The stars are not just ornaments, they are anchors, points of reference in the shifting seas of space. They remind us that even in a universe where now is relative, there are still ways to find our place, to locate ourselves within the vastness. As we close this reflection, imagine lying once more under the night sky. The stars are spread above you, silent and steady, each one a clock, ticking in its own rhythm. Some pulse quickly, some burn slowly, some spin with dizzying speed. Yet together they form a harmony, a cosmic orchestra of time, and you, lying there, are part of that harmony. Your heartbeat adds its rhythm, your breath adds its rhythm, your thoughts, your dreams, your presence in this moment all join the music of the stars. You're not separate from their clocks, you're one of their notes. Perhaps this is the truest gift of the stars. They show us that now is not an illusion, nor is it absolute. It is a meeting place between rhythms. It is where the ticking of the stars meets the ticking of our hearts, where ancient light meets living eyes. It is not less real because it is relative. It is more real because it belongs to both the cosmos and to us. Now is the bridge, the thread, the shared moment of being alive in a universe that is endlessly keeping time. So let the stars comfort you. Let their patience soothe you. Let their light remind you that you are part of something vast, something eternal, something filled with rhythm and glow. Close your eyes and feel their presence. They are keeping time, and so are you. And in the quiet joining of their clocks and yours, you may find peace, a gentle certainty that even as moments slip away, they are never truly lost. They are written into the same sky, shining softly in the great clock of the stars. Light is one of the simplest things we know, and yet one of the deepest mysteries. It illuminates our mornings, colours our evenings, and fills our eyes with the gentle glow of the world. But beneath its warmth lies something strange. Light does not simply brighten the present. It bends it, shapes it, even hides it. When we look at light, we are not only looking at what is, but at shadows of what has been. Every glow is an echo, every flicker a memory, every beam a whisper of a time already past. In this way, light is not only a messenger of now, it is a bridge between moments. Think of the sunlight falling on your hand. It feels immediate, as though the sun itself is touching you this very instant. Yet that sunlight left the sun about 8 minutes ago. The warmth you feel is not from the sun as it is now, but as it was in the past. The sun could change in those minutes, and you would not know until its light arrived. Light carries delay, a constant reminder that our present is threaded with memory. Every glance at the world is in some sense a glimpse into history. What we call now is softened by echoes of then. This becomes clearer when we gaze at the stars. A star 50 light years away shows us its past from half a century ago. A galaxy millions of light years distant shows us a past from before humanity existed. Some of the faintest lights in the night sky are records from billions of years ago, when the first galaxies were forming. To look into space is to look into time. The universe does not offer us the stars as they are. It offers them as they were. Every starlit night is a theatre of echoes, a living memory woven into the present. Even closer things are echoes too. When you look at someone across a room, the light reflecting from their face takes time to reach you. Fractions of a second, so small you cannot notice. But still, what you see is not them as they are, but as they just were. The faster you move, the more apparent this becomes. If you were travelling near the speed of light, the delays would stretch, the shadows would deepen, and the very notion of now would begin to unravel. Relativity tells us that light defines the boundaries of what can be shared, what can be known, what can be called present. The speed of light is not just a limit of motion, but a limit of now. Let us picture light as a thread weaving the fabric of the cosmos. It ties events together, connecting distant stars with distant eyes, linking moments across gulfs of space. This thread is what allows the universe to be knowable at all. Without it, we would be alone in darkness, unable to sense the world beyond our reach. But because of it, we see not only where things are, but where they have been. The universe reveals itself slowly, gently, like a story told across ages. Light carries that story word by word, flicker by flicker, until it arrives in us. Yet light is more than a messenger. It shapes the very meaning of simultaneity. Because light has a finite speed, two events that seem simultaneous to one person may not be to another. A flash of lightning and a clap of thunder feel like they happen together when the storm is close but apart when it is far. So too with light from distant stars. For one observer, two supernovae may seem to burst in unison, while for another, separated in motion, they may appear years apart. Light becomes the gatekeeper of now, allowing us to see only within its circle, hiding from us the wider truth of when. This strange rule extends even into our bodies. The light entering your eye takes time to trigger signals, to send them through the nerves, to form an image in the brain. What you see is never the raw now, but a slightly delayed picture your mind assembles. Your consciousness is always looking at a memory, even of the present moment. You're never quite in step with the now you think you live in. Instead, you are always a half step behind, guided by echoes your body has learned to stitch into something seamless. In this way, the illusion of now is not only cosmic but human, born of the way light moves through us. Let us imagine then a candle burning in the dark. Its flame flickers, sending out photons in every direction. Each photon carries the memory of the flame as it was when the photon left. If you sit near the candle, you see each flicker quickly. If you move away, the flickers arrive more slowly. If you could move near the speed of light, the candle would change in ways your mind could not grasp, slowing, stretching, becoming something almost timeless. The candle's now is not your now. Its echoes are not your echoes. Light makes sure of that. And yet there is beauty in this delay. It means that nothing is ever truly gone. The light of a star that died long ago still crosses the sky, painting your night with its final song. The light of ancient galaxies still falls on your eyes, carrying whispers of creation itself. Even the light from your childhood days, bouncing from trees and rivers, has gone out into space, travelling forever. Somewhere, faint and far, those echoes still exist. They are not lost, but carried onward, woven into the wider story of light. So perhaps shadows and echoes are not illusions at all, but gentle truths. They remind us that presence is never absolute, that to live is to live among memories. Every face you see, every scene you watch is layered with time. The world is a palimpsest of light, a canvas of overlapping nows. We may long for a pure present, but the universe offers us something richer, a present that holds both past and future, a present illuminated by echoes that never truly fade. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine drifting through space, surrounded by stars. Their light comes at you from all directions, some born seconds ago, others born before Earth existed. You float in an ocean of echoes, each one a shard of time, each one a story told across the void. This is what it means to live in light, to live always in the company of shadows, always in the company of memories, always in the glow of a now that is never only now. Light makes us time travelers, gently, endlessly, without our even knowing it. And so as we begin this story of shadows and echoes, let us hold this truth softly. Light does not show us the present. It shows us something more delicate, more profound. It shows us the weaving of times into one luminous whole. It shows us that now is not a single instant, but a shimmering overlap of then and now, here and there, self and cosmos. In this shimmer lies the poetry of existence, the quiet wonder that keeps us looking upward, listening to the stars and feeling the echoes of light in our bones. When we lean more deeply into the mystery of light, we find that its echoes not only shape our sense of time, but also the way the universe itself unfolds before us. Every photon, every beam, every ray carries with it both energy and information, whispering about the place it came from and the moment it was born. Light is not only something we see, it is something we live within. It is the language the cosmos uses to speak to us. And like any language, it carries nuance, rhythm, and delay. To listen closely to light is to listen to time itself. Think of the first light after the birth of the universe. About 13.8 billion years ago, the cosmos expanded in a great burst of creation. For a time, everything was too hot, too dense for light to travel freely. But after roughly 380,000 years, the universe cooled enough for light to decouple from matter. That light still travels today, faint and ancient, stretched into microwaves by the expansion of space. We call it the cosmic microwave background, and it is the oldest light we can see. To look at it is to look back at the dawn of time, to see the universe as an infant wrapped in its first glow. This light is not a present glow, it is an echo older than all life on Earth, and yet we can still see it, still feel its presence, still let it tell us that we are part of a story far older than our species. Every galaxy we observe, every cluster of stars, sends its story through light. When we notice that galaxies far away look redder than they should, we realize that space itself is stretching, pulling the light into longer wavelengths. This redshift tells us the universe is expanding, that the fabric of space grows wider with time. Without light, we would never know this. Light is the clock and the ruler by which we measure cosmic change. Its echoes allow us to see not just where galaxies are, but how they move, how they drift, how they carry us with them in the wide current of expansion. Even within the smallest distances, light governs how we sense reality. The speed of light defines the limits of cause and effect. No signal, no message, no influence can travel faster. This is not just a fact about physics, it is a truth about the structure of now. It means that everything we call present is bounded by the distance light can travel. Beyond that horizon, events are invisible to us, not yet part of our world. In this sense, our present is always smaller than the whole universe. It is a bubble of light, surrounding us with echoes of what has already happened, while hiding from us what is still beyond reach. And yet, our minds make this bubble feel whole. Our brains weave together the signals of light with astonishing speed, stitching them into a seamless sense of reality. The delays are hidden, the echoes softened. We live inside a carefully constructed picture of now, unaware that it is made of countless tiny shadows of what just was. In this way, our perception of the present is as much invention as reception. Light delivers the fragments, and our minds create the illusion of continuity. The present is a tapestry of echoes, painted by photons and assembled by thought. This blending of echoes and perception raises questions that feel almost philosophical. If we only ever see the past, can we say we truly live in the present? If every glance is a memory, then what does it mean to be here now? Some scientists argue that the present is simply the surface where perception meets light, a shifting boundary defined by the signals that reach us. Others wonder if the present is a construct of consciousness alone, something our minds create to keep us steady in the river of change. Either way, light plays the central role. It is the brushstroke that paints the illusion, the rhythm that guides the dance. Light also bends, and in bending it bends our sense of now. Massive objects like stars and galaxies curve the fabric of space, and light follows those curves. This is gravitational lensing, where light from a distant galaxy is bent around a nearer mass, arriving at our eyes in multiple paths. We may see one galaxy as two, its image doubled, or stretched into arcs across the sky. What we are seeing is not one now, but many echoes, different paths of the same light arriving at different times. It is as though the universe itself offers us multiple versions of the same memory, layered and overlapping, each true in its own way. And still, light continues to hold surprises. It behaves both as a wave and as a particle, both continuous and discrete. It interferes with itself, creating patterns of shadows and brightness. It travels with no rest, always at the same speed, no matter how we move. It defies our everyday intuition, and yet it defines our everyday experience. This duality makes light not only a scientific puzzle, but also a poetic one. It is both many and one, both present and past, both messenger and mystery. Its echoes remind us that reality itself is not as simple as it appears. Let us drift deeper into the metaphor. Imagine standing by a lake at night. You toss a pebble into the water, and ripples spread outward. If you could see them forever, you would know the exact moment and place of the pebble's fall. Light is like those ripples, spreading endlessly, carrying the memory of their beginning. Every star, every flame, every candle, every moment of brightness is another pebble, sending ripples through the universe. And all of us, with our eyes and our minds, are the shore where those ripples arrive. To see light is to receive a memory of a distant touch, to be part of the lake's quiet echo. And what of our own light? Our bodies too shine faintly in infrared, invisible to our eyes but real nonetheless. Each of us glows with the warmth of life, sending photons out into the world. They too travel into space, carrying with them the memory of our presence. Long after we are gone, those faint echoes will still drift outward, threads of our being woven into the larger fabric of light. In this way, we too are part of the echo, part of the memory, part of the shimmering illusion of now. So perhaps the lesson of light is not that now is lost, but that now is layered. Each moment is built from countless echoes, from photons that left their sources long ago, from ripples that began in places we may never see. Our present is richer because of this. It is not a single slice of time, but a whole collage of moments, overlapping, shimmering, alive. To see light is to see that the universe has always been more than one instant. It has always been many, joined together by the gentle threads of echoes and shadows. And in this shimmering collage there is peace, for it means that our lives, like the stars, leave traces that do not vanish. Every glow, every spark, every moment of light continues outward, becoming part of the greater now. We are not only travellers in time, we are makers of echoes. We leave behind ripples of brightness that carry our presence into the future, just as ancient stars carry theirs into our present. To live is to shine, and to shine is to be remembered by the universe itself. As we drift toward the gentle close of this story, let us linger in the glow of what light teaches us about time and presence. Shadows and echoes are not flaws in perception, they are the essence of how the universe speaks to us. They remind us that reality is never confined to a razor-thin instant, but is always an overlap, a layering of many times woven together. To live in light is to live in continuity, to live among the traces of what has been and the promise of what will come. It is to find beauty in the fact that every moment is already a memory, already an echo, already a shimmer of more than now. Consider again the night sky. When you gaze upward, you are not simply looking at distant suns, you're looking into history. Some of the light falling into your eyes tonight left its source before your grandparents were born. Some left before humanity walked upright. Some left when Earth was only a swirl of dust around a newborn sun. And yet here it is, part of your present. The sky above you is not just a view of space, it is a view of time, a great canvas painted with memories stretching back billions of years. Each star is a lantern of then, burning in the now of your sight. This realization can change how we think about loss. So often we fear that moments slip away, that once the present has passed, it is gone forever, but light shows us otherwise. The glow of a candle, the laughter of a face, the warmth of a sunrise, all of these leave traces that do not vanish. They ripple outward, carried by photons, continuing their journey long after the moment has ended. Somewhere, faint and far, those traces still exist, etched into the universe. Perhaps no one will see them. Perhaps they will fade into the silence of space. But they are not erased. They are part of the endless archive of echoes. And what about the shadows? Shadows are not emptiness, but the outline of light. They are the places where light is shaped, where its absence creates form. In this way, shadows are echoes too, silent reflections of brightness. The tree that shades you casts not just darkness but memory, the shape of its branches, the rhythm of its leaves, the stillness of its trunk. When you walk beneath a shadow, you are walking in the pattern of light's journey, feeling the geometry of its flow. Shadows remind us that even absence has meaning, that even the places where light does not fall carry the story of light. In the vastness of relativity, this becomes even more profound, for shadows and echoes are woven into the fabric of space-time itself. Black holes, those regions where gravity bends light so strongly it cannot escape, are the ultimate shadows. They are not just objects but boundaries, horizons beyond which light itself cannot return. Yet even here, echoes remain. Light that skirts the edge of a black hole is bent into rings, images of the same star appearing multiple times, delayed by different paths. To look at such echoes is to look at time itself, stretched and folded, layered into visions that blur our sense of present. The cosmos offers us shadows not as voids, but as doorways into the mystery of being. And still, there is gentleness in this, for though light reveals that now is never simple, it also reveals that now is never alone. Every present moment carries countless others within it, stitched together by photons, echoes, and reflections. You are always living not in one instant but in many, overlapping like the notes of a chord. The world you see is a harmony of times, a blending of voices from past and present, near and far. To realize this is not to feel smaller but larger, part of something vast and ongoing. Let us bring this closer, into the heart again. When you look into the eyes of someone you love, the light you see has already left them, travelled across the air, entered your gaze. You're not seeing them exactly as they are, but as they just were, and yet the connection feels immediate, whole, alive. Love does not stumble over the delay. Presence does not falter in the echo. This is the human truth of light, that even though our nows are never exact, we find meaning in the bridge between them. We build intimacy not in simultaneity, but in shared echoes. We hold each other in light, and that is enough. The same can be said for memory itself. Your mind is filled with echoes, stored patterns of past light and sound replayed as if they were still present. When you recall a moment of joy, a face, a song, you are not living it again but reliving its echo. Yet that echo shapes you, comforts you, inspires you. Memory is the light we carry within, a private constellation of past stars. And just as the night sky glows with ancient suns, your inner sky glows with remembered moments. Both are made of echoes, and both are part of the richness of being alive. Perhaps this is the final lesson of shadows and echoes, that the illusion of now is not something to regret, but something to embrace. If we lived only in an absolute present, we would be cut off from the beauty of memory, from the reach of light, from the vast story of the cosmos. Instead, we live in a shimmering overlap, a place where then and now meet, where shadows shape brightness, where echoes make presence. The present is not less real because it contains the past. It is more real because it holds so much within it. So let yourself rest in the glow of this thought. The world around you is filled with light, each beam a memory, each flicker an echo. The shadows you see are part of the same dance, places where light has been shaped into form. You are surrounded, always, by reminders that time is not a single note but a harmony, not a line but a fabric, not a fleeting instant but a chorus of echoes. Close your eyes, breathe softly, and let yourself feel it, that even in silence, even in stillness, the light of countless moments is woven into your now, and in that weaving you are never alone. You are part of the luminous memory of the universe. Space has always seemed like emptiness to us, a vast silence stretching between stars, a blank canvas against which the light of galaxies shines. But the deeper we look, the more we find that space is not still. It is not an empty stage, but a living fabric, stretching, bending, expanding. The universe itself is not just filled with galaxies, it is growing, carrying them farther and farther apart like leaves drifting on a widening river. To speak of space is to speak of motion, for even in its quietest reaches, it is always learning to stretch. Imagine a balloon, unmarked and small. As you breathe into it, it expands. Points on its surface grow farther apart, not because they are moving across the surface, but because the surface itself is stretching beneath them. This is the simplest picture we have of the cosmos. Galaxies are like those points carried along by the swelling of space. They do not rush through the void itself carries them outward. What feels like distance is really the stretching of the fabric that holds everything. The universe does not expand into anything, it simply becomes larger within itself, a fabric of existence unfolding from its own centre. This stretching was first glimpsed in the early 20th century, when astronomers noticed that the light from distant galaxies was redder than expected. The farther away a galaxy was, the greater the redshift of its light. It was as if the wavelengths had been pulled longer during their journey to us. Edwin Hubble understood what this meant. The universe itself was expanding. That discovery changed everything. Before then, many imagined the cosmos as eternal and unchanging. But the stretching of space revealed a beginning. A moment when everything was smaller, denser, hotter. A moment we now call the Big Bang. And yet the Big Bang is not an explosion in space. It is the expansion of space itself. Every point was once closer together. Every star and every atom compressed into a searing fire. From that moment onward, space has been stretching, carrying galaxies apart, thinning the cosmic soup into the rich structures we see today. This is not the story of something blowing apart, but of something unfolding, like a flower blooming, like ripples spreading across a pond. To exist in the universe is to exist within this bloom, to be carried gently on the current of space's expansion. we might wonder what this stretching feels like. On human scales, it is imperceptible. The space between you and a chair does not grow, nor does the space within your body expand. Gravity and forces hold these things together, resisting the cosmic stretching. But on the grand scale of millions of light years, the stretching becomes clear. Clusters of galaxies drift apart, voids grow wider, filaments of stars pull longer. The universe is not static, it breathes, its fabric rising and falling on scales too vast for us to feel, yet not too vast for us to imagine. The most astonishing part of this story is that the stretching of space is not slowing down, it is speeding up. In the late 20th century, scientists discovered that distant supernovae were dimmer than expected, as if they were farther away than they should be. This meant the expansion of the universe was accelerating, driven by something unknown, something we call dark energy. We do not yet know what dark energy is. It is like a quiet pressure, pushing galaxies apart, making the fabric of space stretch faster with each passing age. The cosmos is not only unfolding, it is rushing outward, ever more quickly, as though eager to reach horizons we cannot yet see. This discovery humbles us, for it means the universe has a destiny shaped by stretching. If the expansion continues to accelerate, galaxies beyond our local group will drift so far away that their light will no longer reach us. The sky will darken, stars will fade from view. Future beings, if they exist, may see only their own galaxy, unaware of the vast web we know today. Space itself will have carried the rest beyond the horizon, retching them into silence. To know this is to feel both wonder and melancholy. Wonder at the grand sweep of cosmic growth, melancholy at the thought of losing sight of so much beauty. But space is not only about outward stretching, it also bends, curves, and ripples. Gravity does not merely pull objects toward one another, it bends the very fabric around them. Space learns to shape itself, to cradle planets, to swirl stars, to create pathways for galaxies to dance along. Even light feels this curvature, bending its path in deference to mass. This is Einstein's vision. Space is not passive. It listens to matter, learns from energy, and shapes itself accordingly. The universe is not a silent void, but a responsive fabric, always stretching, always bending, always alive with subtle motion. Perhaps the most delicate motion of all is the ripple, gravitational waves. When massive objects like black holes collide, they send shudders through space itself, waves that spread like ripples on water. These waves are faint, almost imperceptible, but in recent years we have learned to detect them. Each one is an echo of a cosmic event, a whisper of two stars colliding carried to us across billions of light years. To feel such a ripple is to touch the stretching of space itself, to know that we are part of a fabric that quivers and flows, responding to the dances of stars far away. And here, in this story of stretching space, we return to the question of now. For if the fabric of space itself is moving, then time is also part of that motion. The expansion of the universe is not just the growth of distance, it is the unfolding of time itself, the deepening of the cosmic river. Our present is tied to that expansion, carried forward as part of the bloom. To ask what space is stretching into is to ask what time is becoming. Both questions fold into one another as inseparable as shadow and light. So let us rest in this thought. that we live not in emptiness, but in a fabric that grows. Space is not still, not silent, not void. It is alive with stretching, with rippling, with bending. It carries us gently, holds us within its bloom, invites us to wonder at its patience. Every night sky is a glimpse of that motion, every star a passenger on its unfolding, and we too are passengers, carried without effort, without choice, on the great stretch of the cosmos. To be alive is to drift within it, to feel the quiet motion of space, learning, always learning, to stretch. If we lean deeper into the mystery of stretching space, we begin to see that it's not only a scientific truth, but also a poetic one. Expansion is the story of change written across the cosmos, a reminder that nothing stays still, not even the emptiness between stars. The galaxies are like lanterns carried away on invisible currents, drifting apart in silence, yet still connected by the threads of space itself. To imagine this is to imagine the universe as a vast breathing being, its chest rising ever wider, each breath longer than the span of all human history. The mathematics of expansion may seem cold, full of symbols and equations, but beneath them lies a picture filled with wonder. When Edwin Hubble measured the redshift of galaxies, he discovered that the farther away a galaxy is, the faster it is moving from us. This simple relation, now called Hubble's law, became a window into the stretching of space. The law does not mean we are at the centre. It means every point sees the same stretching. From any galaxy, the view is the same, all others drifting away, carried outward by the bloom of the cosmos. There is no privileged place, no single centre, only an endless unfolding in every direction. This unfolding raises deep questions. What caused the stretching to begin? Why did the universe bloom at all? Cosmologists trace it back to the Big Bang, but even that beginning is shrouded in mystery. Some theories suggest there was a brief period of rapid inflation, a stretching faster than anything we can imagine, in which the universe expanded exponentially in less than the blink of an eye. This inflation smoothed the cosmos, creating the near-uniform background we see today. It was as if the fabric, once crumpled and dense, was ironed flat in a sudden surge, leaving only small ripples that later grew into galaxies and stars. The origin of this inflation remains unknown, but its fingerprints are written across the sky in the cosmic microwave background, the faint glow of the infant universe. Light itself has been shaped by stretching. As space expands, so too do the wavelengths of photons travelling through it. This red shifting turns blue light into red, visible light into infrared, infrared into radio waves. Ancient light becomes ever softer, ever fainter, until it is no longer visible to us. In this way, expansion dims the universe, stretching not only distance but colour, not only matter but memory. Every telescope is a listener, trying to catch those whispers before they fade too far. In each faint photon is a story of the cosmos blooming, of galaxies carried farther, of time flowing onward. And yet, even as expansion carries galaxies apart, gravity weaves them together locally. Our Milky Way is bound to its neighbouring galaxy, Andromeda, and the two are slowly drawing closer. Billions of years from now, they will collide and merge, forming a new galaxy. On the scale of space's stretching, this may seem paradoxical. Why do some galaxies approach if the universe expands? The answer is that expansion dominates only on the larger scales, where gravity is weak. Locally, gravity wins. It binds stars, planets, and galaxies into clusters. The stretching is gentle enough that within those clusters, the bonds of matter remain strong. We live then in a delicate balance, expansion at the grandest scale, cohesion at the smaller. The universe is both pulling apart and holding together, a duality that shapes the very structure of existence. To reflect on this balance is to reflect on life itself. We too are stretched by time, carried forward by the river of change. Yet within us are bonds that hold, connections that resist the pull, love, memory, community. These are the gravities of the heart. They are what allow us to feel rooted even as the years widen around us. The cosmos shows us that it is possible to expand and still remain bound, to drift apart and still remain connected. It is possible to be carried outward and yet still belong. The acceleration of expansion adds another layer of wonder. Dark energy, though invisible, is the dominant force in the cosmos today. It drives galaxies farther apart, not with a steady pace but with increasing speed. Its nature is a mystery. Some believe it is an inherent property of space, a constant energy woven into the fabric. Others suggest it changes over time, a dynamic field that evolves as the cosmos grows. Whatever it is, it accounts for nearly 70% of the universe. We see its effects in the dimming of distant supernovae, in the subtle imprints left on the background light of the cosmos. We cannot touch it, but we feel its hand in every widening horizon. This widening horizon speaks to the fate of the universe. If dark energy remains constant, space will continue to stretch forever. Galaxies drifting into isolation, stars fading, matter growing thin. In trillions of years, the cosmos will be dark, quiet, cold. This is one vision, the heat death, where stretching has carried everything so far apart that no warmth remains, no light, no motion. Another vision imagines that dark energy could grow stronger, tearing galaxies, stars, even atoms apart in a final event called the Big Rip. Yet another possibility is that expansion could slow, reverse, and collapse back into a big crunch. Each fate depends on the rhythm of stretching, on the nature of the unseen energy that drives it. The end of the story remains unwritten, and yet for us, here and now, the stretching of space is not an end, but a wonder. It means that we live in a universe that evolves, that changes, that carries stories forward. Without expansion, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no planets. The clumps of matter that became us could never have formed without the cooling and widening of space. Our existence is written into the stretching. We are the children of expansion, the listeners of its echoes, the thinkers who try to imagine its vastness. So when you look up at the night sky, remember that you are seeing the stretch itself. Each galaxy is both light and distance, both past and present, both echo and presence. The farther you look, the more of the past you see, the more of the stretching you witness. The universe is not a static dome, but a living fabric, swelling in silence, carrying you with it. You're not apart from it. You are inside it, part of its bloom, carried gently on its widening flow. And perhaps this is the quiet gift of the expanding cosmos, to teach us that growth is not only inevitable but beautiful. Space stretches, and in doing so it makes room for stars, for worlds, for life, for us. The universe is not shrinking into itself but moving outward, like a flower whose petals will never cease unfolding. To live within it is to live within a blossoming, To be alive is to ride the widening breath of space, to feel in our bones the truth that everything grows, everything stretches, everything learns to become more. As we drift into the final part of this story, let us rest more deeply in the poetry of space as it learns to stretch. Expansion is not only a tale of galaxies and light, it is also a tale of perspective, of how we as small beings fit into the great rhythm of the cosmos. The widening of space is not something we can touch with our hands or feel with our skin, yet we live inside it. Every breath, every heartbeat, every glance at the stars is carried on the same stretching fabric. To live is to be a passenger in an expanding universe, held softly in the arms of something that grows beyond measure. Think again of the balloon, swelling with each breath. On its surface, every point drifts from every other, not because of motion, but because of the stretch itself. If you were a tiny creature living on that surface, you would see the points moving apart, yet you would never find a true center. The balloon does not expand into something else. It expands into itself. So too with space. There is no edge, no outside. Expansion is not a spreading into emptiness, but a blossoming from within. To imagine this is to feel the strangeness of existence itself, that growth needs no boundary, that unfolding is its own reality. This strangeness is mirrored in time, for as space stretches, so too does the story of time. The beginning of expansion was the beginning of time itself. To ask what came before is to ask about a place where before does not exist. In this sense, stretching is not only spatial but temporal. Every moment that passes is another widening, another bloom. Time is carried by expansion, inseparable from it. When you think of the universe stretching, you are also thinking of your own life unfolding, each moment another petal on the endless flower of now. There is a quiet comfort in this. Expansion tells us that change is natural, that growth is the rhythm of the cosmos. The galaxies do not resist, they drift with it. The stars do not cling, they are carried. The universe itself does not fight its widening, it simply breathes, patient and vast. For us, who often fear change, who cling to moments, who struggle with letting go, there is something healing in this vision. To be part of a stretching cosmos is to be reminded that nothing stands still, yet nothing is truly lost. Everything belongs to the same motion, the same bloom, the same unfolding fabric. Even the ripples of stretching, gravitational waves remind us of this. When black holes collide, their merger sends a shudder through space-time. That ripple may take billions of years to cross the universe, yet when it passes through Earth, it leaves the faintest signature. Our instruments can hear it, like the distant hum of a bell struck long ago. To listen to such a ripple is to listen to the history of space itself. It is to realize that stretching is not silent, but filled with whispers, filled with echoes of cosmic dances. Each ripple is a reminder that the fabric of existence is alive, quivering with memory. As expansion carries galaxies farther apart, the night sky slowly changes. Stars will burn out, galaxies will fade, and the universe will grow quieter. To us, this may sound like loss, but in another way, it is simply transformation. The cosmos is not vanishing, it is becoming something new. The stretching will write new patterns, create new silences, open new spaces. Even in darkness, the fabric will continue to breathe, and we, though small, will have been part of that story. Our moments, brief though they are folded into the same bloom that carries galaxies, stars and light. It may be that the future holds endings we cannot imagine, a heat death, a big rip, a final silence. Yet even if the universe drifts towards stillness, its story will remain vast, luminous, filled with rhythms that once were. Just as the light of dead stars still shines, the echoes of all that has been will ripple onward. We may not live to see those ages, but we are part of the beginning, part of the middle, part of the bloom itself. Our existence is written into the stretch, nothing can erase that. We belong to the widening fabric, to the infinite patience of space. Let us bring this closer to the human heart. When you grow, when you change, when your life widens into new chapters, you are mirroring the cosmos. You too are stretching. You too are unfolding into more. At times, change feels frightening, as if we are losing what we once were. But the universe reminds us that stretching is not loss. It is creation. Every widening makes room for something new. Every expansion makes space for new light, new bonds, new dreams. You are not separate from the cosmos. Its rhythm is in you. You are the bloom made conscious, the expansion made aware. And so, as we rest in the thought of space learning to stretch, let us hold it softly like a lullaby. The universe is not still. It is not silent. It is unfolding endlessly, patiently, beautifully, and every galaxy drifting, every star glowing, every planet turning as part of that motion. And you, breathing here, are part of it too. Your now is not fixed. It is carried forward, stretched gently by the same fabric that carries the stars. You are not lost. You are held in the bloom. Close your eyes and imagine yourself lying on the surface of that balloon, drifting with the stars. The fabric beneath you widens, the horizon expands, the galaxies glow like lanterns carried outward. You do not need to run. You do not need to hold. You are already part of the motion, already part of the bloom. The universe is stretching, and you are stretching with it. In that motion there is wonder. In that motion there is peace. In that motion there is the quiet truth that all things grow, all things unfold, all things belong to the widening breath of space. The present moment feels like the most real thing we have. It is where our breath lives, where our eyes focus, where our hearts beat. And yet when we try to hold it, it slips away. Each instant dissolves into memory. Each now becomes then. The present is always vanishing, always disappearing into the past, even as we try to grasp it. Physics deepens this mystery, telling us that what we call the present is not universal at all. Relativity shows that two observers may never agree on the same now. Time does not grant us one single present. It grants us many, layered and shifting. The quiet disappearance of the present is not a failure of perception. It is the very nature of reality. Imagine watching the second hand of a clock. It clicks forward, marking each now with its tick. You think you are living in that instant, but before you even notice, the hand has moved again. Your awareness is always chasing, always just behind. Neuroscientists tell us that the brain takes time to process light, sound, and touch. What we call the present is already a picture assembled from signals that arrived moments ago. Consciousness itself is delayed, living always in echoes. The present is an illusion of stitching, a seam where fragments of the past are sewn together into a fabric that feels whole. Relativity sharpens this illusion. If you stand on Earth and look at the stars, your now includes their distant glow. But for someone moving quickly through space, the same starlight may belong to a different now. Events that you believe are happening together may not be simultaneous for them. Time slices differently depending on speed and gravity. The present, then, is not an absolute plane slicing the universe into before and after. It is a perspective, a personal horizon, a lantern shining only on part of the fabric. Beyond that lantern, other nows exist, equally valid, equally real. The present disappears not because it is false, but because it is not singular. This raises a question that has haunted philosophers for centuries. Does the present even exist? Some argue that only the now is real, and the past and future are illusions. Others argue that only the past and future exist, while the present is just a boundary between them. Still others suggest that all of time, past, present, and future exists together, a block universe where every moment is already written. In that vision, the present is simply where we stand in the story, a page our eyes are reading while the whole book already lies before us. Each of these views captures part of the truth, and each leaves us with the same quiet mystery. Why does the present feel so real when it vanishes so quickly? Perhaps it feels real because it is where we live. We cannot reach into the past, though it lingers. We cannot step into the future, though it waits. We can only experience one breath at a time, one heartbeat, one thought. This narrow window is what we call now. Even if physics tells us it is relative, even if neuroscience tells us it is delayed, it is still the only place where life touches us. The present may disappear, but in disappearing, it makes space for the next moment, and the next, and the next. The beauty of now is not that it endures, but that it renews. Let us imagine the present as a wave moving across the sea of time. Each crest rises, shines for an instant, and falls, replaced by another. No wave lasts, yet the sea continues. We live on those crests, carried forward by the rhythm. To cling to one would be to sink, but to ride them is to live. The disappearance of the present is not a loss. It is the motion of the sea itself. Our lives are not diminished by this, but defined by it. The very fact that the present slips away is what allows us to grow, to change, to move from one chapter to another. This view becomes gentler when we remember that every present becomes part of the past, and the past is never gone. It is folded into memory, into history, into the very structure of space-time. Each moment we live remains written in the fabric, even if we can no longer touch it. The present may vanish, but it is not erased. It becomes another stitch in the tapestry, another echo in the light, another ripple in the river. To live is to contribute to this fabric, to leave behind threads that will always belong to the whole, and yet the fragility of now gives it meaning. If the present endured forever, we would never know urgency, never feel wonder, never cherish what we have. It is because the moment disappears that we treasure it. It is because it cannot be held that it feels so precious. The vanishing of now is the reason love feels tender, the reason beauty feels fleeting, the reason we pause to notice the colours of a sunset before they fade. Disappearance is not only loss, it is the gift that makes presence luminous. Close your eyes for a moment and feel your breath. Each inhalation is a present, each exhalation is a disappearance, and yet together they form a rhythm that carries you, one that feels continuous even though it is built from countless vanishing nows. This is the paradox of life. Continuity made from fleetingness, presence built from disappearance, wholeness built from fragments. The quiet loss of now is what allows us to experience time as a river, flowing endlessly forward. And so, as we begin this story of the disappearing present, let us hold it gently. Now may vanish, but it leaves behind memory, light, rhythm, and meaning. Its disappearance is not a failure, but a feature of the cosmos. It is how the universe moves, how it grows, how it allows us to live. The quiet vanishing of the present is not something to fear. It is something to embrace, something to wonder at, something to love. For in the slipping away of now, life finds its flow and the cosmos finds its bloom. If we lean more deeply into the mystery of the present, we find that its disappearance is not only a matter of perception, but also of physics. Relativity shows us that time does not flow the same for everyone. The present for one observer may not be the same as the present for another. Imagine two people separated by vast distance, watching the same stars. For one, a distant supernova may have already happened. For the other, it has not yet occurred. Both are correct because light defines what each can know. Their presents are not shared, but relative, shaped by position and motion. The idea of one universal now dissolves into many. The present disappears because it cannot be pinned down to a single absolute frame. This dissolving becomes even more poignant when we think of how the brain builds its own sense of time. Neuroscience tells us that what we feel as now is a window roughly a few seconds wide. Our minds gather fragments, sounds, sights, touches, and blend them into a smooth picture. Without this blending, the world would appear disjointed, full of gaps and delays. What we call the present is already a small collection of past moments, stitched together into something that feels whole. In this way, the present is not a point but a process, not an instant but a painting made from many brushstrokes. It disappears because it was never singular to begin with. Even memory reflects this. Each recollection is an echo of a present long gone, yet when we recall it, it feels alive, almost as though it still exists. Memory is a way of extending the present backward, pulling echoes of then into the now, but memory too is fragile. It changes with time, reshaped by feeling, coloured by perspective. The past we carry is not the past itself, but the past is filtered through the present moment of recall. The present disappears not only into memory, but into versions of memory constantly rewritten. What was once immediate becomes layered, softened, and reimagined. Physics invites us to think even further. If space-time is a block, with past, present, and future all equally real, then the present is not disappearing at all. It is merely one coordinate in a larger whole, one page in the book of existence. In this view, every moment, your first breath, your current breath, your last breath, is equally part of the fabric. The present only seems to vanish because we move through it, like a traveller walking a path. The road behind does not cease to exist, nor the road ahead. Only our position changes, and we call that position now. The present disappears only from our perspective, not from the universe itself. And yet, to live inside the flow is to feel the vanishing deeply. A sunset lasts only minutes, then gives way to dusk. A conversation passes, leaving only memory. A child grows, and the moment of youth is gone forever. These vanishings give us sorrow, but also sweetness, for it is in their passing that we learn to value them. If the present did not fade, we would never learn to cherish. The quiet disappearance of now is the teacher of gratitude, the root of beauty. Every fleeting moment is precious because it cannot stay. In this way, the vanishing present is both scientific and emotional, both cosmic and human. The universe tells us that now is relative, layered, woven into light. Our hearts tell us that now is tender, fleeting, impossible to hold. Together they create a truth both humbling and comforting. We cannot freeze time, but we can experience it. We cannot cling to now, but we can love it while it shines. We cannot keep moments, but we can weave them into memory, into story, into meaning. Let us imagine walking through a forest. Filters through the leaves, shifting with the wind. Each pattern of light is unique, and each vanishes as soon as it forms. You cannot hold one, you cannot capture it. But as you walk, the shifting glow becomes your experience, your memory, your moment. The beauty lies not in preserving a single pattern, but in being present with the flow of patterns as they change. This is how the present moves through us, not as permanence but as presence. The shadows and light disappear, and yet they remain, carried within. Perhaps this is why poets speak of time as a river. The river flows, never still, always carrying water away. Yet it is always the same river. The present is like this, always moving, always vanishing, yet always here. Each drop of water disappears, yet the river endures. Each now slips into memory, yet life continues. The quiet disappearance is not emptiness, it is flow. It is the way the cosmos ensures that everything belongs to movement, that nothing is frozen, that everything is part of becoming. So when we think of the present vanishing, we need not fear it. Its vanishing is what gives us meaning. It is what lets us grow. It is what allows love to deepen, memory to form, life to unfold. To wish for a frozen now would be to wish against the very fabric of existence. Better to rest in the rhythm, to let each moment arrive, shine and pass, like the flicker of a star in the night sky. The present disappears, yes, but in disappearing, it makes space for the next moment and the next and the next. And in that endless chain, life finds its song. As we drift into the final movement of this story, the vanishing of the present becomes less of a puzzle and more of a quiet song. We no longer need to ask only whether now is real or whether it is illusion. Instead, we can listen to its rhythm, its flowing, its constant becoming. The present is always disappearing, but in disappearing it gives rise to continuity. Its passing is not silence, but music. The gentle melody of time weaving itself through us. Imagine yourself sitting beside a river. The water slides past, never the same, never still. You dip your hand into it, and though you touch the flow, you can never hold the same drop twice. The water is always gone, always replaced, always renewed. This is the shape of the present. It touches us, it passes, it disappears, yet the river itself endures. What we call now is simply the touch of one drop, one breath, one shimmer, before it slides into memory. The quietness of this disappearance is not a loss, but the gift that allows the river to flow at all. Physics deepens the song. In relativity, the present is not a universal slice of time, but a personal horizon, different for each observer. The now you live in is not the same as the now another person lives in, if they are moving quickly or standing far away in another gravitational field. The universe does not share a single present. It shares a fabric of moments, all equally real, all woven together. What vanishes for one remains for another. The present does not disappear into nothing. It disappears into the greater tapestry where every thread belongs. Neuroscience too reminds us of the same rhythm. What we feel as a continuous now is built from fragments stitched together by the brain. In this way, the present is already a memory, already a construction. Consciousness lags slightly behind the world, yet in lagging it gives us coherence. Our minds smooth over the gaps, turning echoes into presence. The disappearance of the present is not only cosmic but intimate. It happens inside us, in every heartbeat, in every thought. We are living proof that continuity is born from vanishing, and yet despite these vanishings, we live richly. We laugh, we dream, we love. We stand in awe of sunsets and linger in the voices of friends. These experiences are precious not because they last, but because they do not. The vanishing of now makes room for meaning. If moments stayed forever, they would not sparkle. It is in their passing that they shine. A song is beautiful not because a single note endures, but because the notes come and go, weaving melody. Life too is melody. Its beauty is in its fleetingness. Even the stars remind us of this truth. Their light travels for centuries before reaching us. What we see is their past, not their present. Yet when we look, we feel them in our now. The present is always built from echoes, from vanishing light that has travelled far. The universe itself shows us that now is never simple. It is always layered, always blended, always partly gone, and still it is enough. We do not need an absolute present to live. We need only the shimmering overlap that gives us experience, memory, and hope. This vanishing also teaches us gentleness, for if every moment disappears, then clinging too tightly is futile. Better to hold softly, to savour without grasping, to love without demanding permanence. The disappearance of now is not a theft, it is an invitation. It invites us to notice, to cherish, to breathe deeply. It invites us to release, to trust that another now will come carrying its own glow, its own meaning. To live is not to keep, but to let go, again and again into the river of time. And so, when we wonder whether the present is real, the answer is both simple and profound. It is real in its passing, real in its disappearance, real in the way it shapes memory and meaning. It does not need to last to be true. It does not need to be absolute to be beautiful. The vanishing present is the heartbeat of existence, the pulse that carries us from one moment to the next. Without its disappearance, there would be no flow, no story, no life. Close your eyes for a moment and listen to your breath. Each inhale is a present. Each exhale is its disappearance. Together they form the rhythm of your being, continuous though built from vanishing instants. This is the truth of life itself. Continuity made of fragments, presence made of disappearance, eternity made of fleetingness. You're not outside this truth, you are part of it. You are the river, the breath, the melody. You are the vanishing present, endlessly renewed. So let us end here gently, with the knowledge that the present is always disappearing, and that this is its beauty. It cannot be held, but it can be lived. It cannot endure, but it can be loved. And in its vanishing, it makes space for all the moments still to come. To live is to let the present disappear, softly into memory, while trusting that another will arrive, glowing, waiting, ready to be cherished. The present vanishes, but in vanishing it carries us forward endlessly into the quiet bloom of time.